A sharp metallic clang rang out, and Diego's sword was knocked out of his hand. It spun in the air before falling to the ground, creating a burst of sparks. Who was that? Diego was both surprised and angry. He quickly hid behind Sheila and signaled the assassins to stand in front of him to guard against any sneak attacks. Diego, your time has come. Kneel and surrender, and I will spare your life. Dustin slowly stepped out of the loosened dragon rope and carefully stowed it away. Such a rare treasure could prove valuable in the future. So, it's you. Diego poked his head out from behind Sheila's shoulder. He said with a smile, Mr. Reese, the Murrays have been against you the entire time, yet you're still helping them. Is it really worth it? If you work with us, Kimbokuans, I will assure you unimaginable wealth and prosperity. I'm not helping the Murrays. I just despise the likes of you. Dustin said bluntly, how dare you dogs from Kimboku cause trouble in Dragonmarsh? I will kill any Kimbokuan I see. Do you mean there's no room for negotiation? Diego's expression darkened. There will be, once you're dead. With that, Dustin propelled himself forward, turning into a ghostly white shadow. Stop him! Diego exclaimed in alarm. Fool! The Kimbokuan assassins immediately drew their blades and charged toward the ghostly shadow. However, every time they landed an attack, they were instantly sent flying by an overwhelming shockwave. Regardless of the numbers that charged forward or the weapons they wielded, they couldn't match the might of the ghostly white shadow. It had left a trail of crippled Kimbokuan assassins in its path and remained untouchable. Diego was horrified at the scene he was witnessing. His legs almost gave way from the fear. Wait, I have a hostage. If you come any closer, I'll snap her neck. Diego grabbed Sheila by the throat as he screamed in desperation. Dustin, stop. Don't get my daughter hurt. Caden roared. Reese, if anything happens to Sheila, you're in for a world of trouble. Vivian and her group shouted. Right then, another silver needle shot out with a sharp, whistling sound. It narrowly grazed past Sheila's ear. With pinpoint accuracy, it embedded itself right in the center of Diego's forehead. Diego's body quivered, and his face contorted with fear. In the next instant, an explosion echoed through the room. Diego's head had burst open like a ripe watermelon. The hall fell silent as everyone witnessed Diego's head explode. Caden's shouting came to an abrupt halt, while Vivian, Evan, and the rest of their group were dumbstruck. Everything had happened so rapidly that they could not react for a moment. Even with Diego using a hostage as a shield and guarded by elite assassins, Dustin still achieved a one-hit kill. It was truly horrifying. As Diego's headless corpse fell with a dull thud, Dustin grabbed a confused Sheila by the shoulder. He pulled her out of the encirclement and tossed her back to the Murray camp. Finally, Sheila was safe. Diego! Antonio's expression contorted in fury as he looked at his grandson's dead body. He roared in a thunderous rage. You bastard! How dare you kill my grandson? I'll tear you to pieces. Kill him! Kill him! At his command, a horde of elite assassins rushed forward. They hurled their concealed arsenal of poison darts and throwing blades. It was a relentless assault. The tight-knit barrage resembled a ferocious storm that left little room for defense. Simultaneously, the assassins employed diverse tactics. Some leapt high into the air, deploying iron wire nets, while others emerged underground to mount ambushes. In an instant, Dustin found himself the primary target of an overwhelming and unrelenting onslaught. Assist him. Wipe out all of the Kimbokuan assassins. Christopher ordered immediately. The Murray family's rigorously honed kill team didn't hold back, either. They charged into the battle. Soon, both sides were once again engaged in a chaotic battle. However, this time, the situation was completely different. The Murray family's kill team was already inherently strong. With Dustin's backing, they became an even more formidable force. In mere moments, they had eliminated enough Kimbokuan assassins to leave them in disarray. Excellent! Well done! The crowd surged with excitement at the sight. Damn it! Antonio cursed. Unable to hold back any longer, he stepped forcefully onto the ground. He turned into a ghostly shadow and launched himself right into the middle of the fray. With extremely quick movements, his palms struck down repeatedly. Every strike of his resulted in the death of one black-clad member of the kill team. You impudent old dog! Christopher erupted in anger and wanted to join in the battle. However, his body shuddered as he coughed up blood once more. He wasn't even able to steady himself. His injuries were so serious that he wasn't able to engage in further combat. This is bad. If the fight goes on, we might end up losing. Lily was anxious. Antonio's appearance had completely reversed the situation. As Kimboku Sword Sage, Antonio is too strong. With Dad injured, no one can stop him now. Our only option is to temporarily retreat, Kaden said with a solemn expression. Retreat? Are you suggesting we abandon our home? Lily frowned. We can only make a comeback if we remain alive. Kaden looked around and whispered, gather a few people and get Dad out of here silently. We mustn't alert Antonio. Your father would never agree to make a retreat. Considering his personality, Lily shook her head. I don't care how you do it, even if you have to knock him unconscious. Just make sure to get him out of here. Kaden insisted. He knew that, as long as Christopher was alive, the Murrays would be able to rebuild their legacy. All right, I'll give it a try. Lily nodded reluctantly. Wait, if we leave, what about Dustin and our men? Sheila suddenly spoke up. On the front lines, Dustin was leading the fight. The situation was extremely dangerous. We can't think about that right now. They'll have to rely on themselves, Kaden said decisively. Dad, Dustin and our men are out there trying to rescue us. How can you just abandon them like that and run away? You've gone too far. Sheila frowned. You foolish girl. We should take care of ourselves first. Our lives are at stake. We can't afford to think about them. Kaden was getting anxious. Time was running out. If they delayed it any further, they would be next once Antonio had dealt with Dustin and the others. No, I'm not going. Sheila shook her head repeatedly. Dustin just saved me. I can't leave him behind and run away. You're being naive. Kaden was getting increasingly worried. They won't be able to hold on for much longer. We won't be able to escape later if we don't leave now. Upon saying that, Kaden firmly gripped Sheila's wrist and pulled her away. No, I won't leave. Let go of me. Sheila began to struggle frantically. She already owed Dustin once and wasn't going to owe him a second time. If she did that, she wouldn't forgive herself for the rest of her life. Sheila, your dad is right. Time is running out. Let's go. That's right, Sheila. This is a matter of life and death. Don't be stubborn. So what if Dustin dies? As long as we survive, his sacrifice for the Murrays will be the greatest honor of his life. At that moment, Evan, Vivian, and the rest of the group also persuaded Sheila. It would be the greatest advantage to have Dustin's life exchanged for their safety. Go ahead and leave if you want. I'm staying. Sheila refused to listen to their advice. You foolish girl. Kaden was furious and slapped her. He scolded. You can't afford to be stubborn right now. You will follow my orders. Take her away. Sheila was stunned by the slap, feeling lost as she covered her cheek. Evan and Vivian exchanged glances before grabbing Sheila's arms. They dragged her away forcefully. Meanwhile, on the desolate battlefield, both sides continued their deadly battle. Casualties quickly mounted on both sides. Corpses littered the ground as the battle raged on fiercely. Step aside. None of you are a match for him. Let me handle this. Seeing the kill team bravely sacrificing themselves without fear, Dustin was moved. He then quickly stopped them. The Murray family's kill team consisted of divine-level martial artists. However, they were powerless against a grandmother like Antonio. The close proximity of both sides had also prevented Dustin from unleashing his full strength. He didn't want to risk harming his allies. Thus, he directed the Murray family's forces to step aside. You all, withdraw as well. I want to personally slaughter this brat. Antonio waved his hand, and the Kimbokuan assassins promptly retreated. Soon, the chaotic battle transformed into a one-on-one battle between the two. Has Dustin lost his mind? He's actually challenging Antonio to a 1-on-1 battle. Is he trying to get himself killed even quicker? Vivian glanced back, bewildered. HMPH. He's severely overestimating himself. Antonio ranks among the top 10 sword sages of Kimboku, having achieved the pinnacle of his power. Dustin is digging his own grave by challenging him? Evan shook his head, looking at Dustin as if he were a complete fool. This brat is too foolish. Antonio was holding back earlier during the chaos since he might harm his own men. But now that he's free from those constraints, he'll be stronger than ever. Dustin won't withstand even a single blow. Caden expressed his frustration. Dustin could have held them back longer, but he just had to play the hero. Once he got killed, their chances of escaping would greatly diminish. "You damn bastard! You killed my grandson and ruined my plans. Today, I'm going to flay you alive." Antonio slowly drew his curved longsword from his waist. His eyes were ablaze with a murderous intent. Even though his opponent was young, he wouldn't hold back. "Bourbon, you old scoundrel. You should never have come to Dragonmarsh and stirred up trouble. And you definitely shouldn't have run into me. Today, I will offer your head as a tribute to the fallen heroes of the Murray family." Dustin spat out coldly. "You bloody bastard. Go to hell." Antonio roared in rage. He lunged forward with a powerful step. Wielding his curved longsword high above him, he swung it down toward Dustin's head. Before the blade could touch Dustin, its sharp edge had already cleaved the earth beneath, leaving a deep gouge. "It's over. The kid is dead for sure." The crowd shook their heads and sighed. Only a few people could withstand Antonio's unrestrained, full-powered strike in this world. Celestial Blade. Dustin raised his arm, and a sharp whistle reverberated through the air. Within the midst of the ruins, a black ancient sword suddenly streaked across the sky like a bolt of dark lightning. With an unstoppable force, it pierced right through Antonio's chest. The celestial blade turned into a bolt of dark lighting. After piercing through Antonio's chest, it returned to Dustin's hand. Blood flowed down slowly from the blade, gathering at the tip before dripping onto the ground. It created a blossom of blood stains. Meanwhile, Antonio's body trembled and plummeted from mid-air, crashing heavily onto the ground. He landed on his knees, freezing in a motionless kneeling position. Silence engulfed the entire place. It was so intense that one could hear the faintest sound of a pin dropping. A collective shock seized them all. Their faces were etched with sheer astonishment. They never could have imagined that Kimboku's mighty sword sage, the highly skilled Antonio, would be pierced through the chest by Dustin's sword. The entire situation happened so suddenly, and without any warning that no one had time to react. All they witnessed was a bolt of dark lightning, and the next thing they knew, Antonio was already seen on his knees. "Ooh!" Antonio stared down in utter disbelief. There was a bloody, gaping hole in his chest. It was so deep that he could see right through it. Within that void, he saw Christopher's shocked expression. The surreal perspective was bizarre and shocking. How did you manage to hurt me?" Antonio asked hoarsely, struggling to lift his head. Christopher was seriously injured and was unable to fight. Under normal circumstances, Antonio should have been invincible. He never expected such a turn of events. "Why, you can ask the devil below." Without another word, Dustin walked up to him and sliced his head off. With a thud, Antonio's head rolled off the ground. It was only then that the crowd awakened from their daze, and they erupted into an unprecedented commotion. "Here he's dead. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? This young man actually killed Antonio? Oh my god. Antonio is Kimboku's sword sage and a top-tiered grandmother. It's unbelievable that he was killed by just one move. Who the hell is this guy? He's so terrifying. What a monster. Is he even human? How can he kill the sword sage with just a single strike? Since when did our city have such a monster?" After a brief silence, the entire scene erupted into chaos. Everyone looked at Dustin like he was a monster. Their expressions betrayed their shock and astonishment. They had thought that the Murray family would be in grave danger today. They had even prepared to flee. They didn't expect Dustin to turn the situation around at the last moment. For a moment, all of them were at a loss, especially Evan, Vivian, and their group, who looked on in disbelief. They couldn't accept the fact that Dustin was that incredible. Wasn't he just a loser selling insurance? Wasn't he an insignificant individual without a background? How did he do it? Just how did he defeat Kimboku's sword sage? Could Dustin have a hidden identity? Had they been seeing a facade? A cover-up? If that were the case, they were in deep trouble. For someone who could defeat Kimboku's elite sword sage so easily, they would be highly respected and revered by everyone, no matter when and where. Even the major official institutions would have to treat Dustin with utmost respect. Dustin was young, and he displayed formidable strength. It wasn't an exaggeration to say he could easily stand shoulder to shoulder with Christopher in the future. A young prodigy like him was someone to be admired and looked up to for a lifetime. The biggest issue was that Evan, Vivian, and their group had treated Dustin with disdain and contempt. They had even resorted to offensive language. If Dustin ever chose to retaliate, the consequences would be unimaginable.